Thank the member for Lindsay. Question is the motion be agreed to, and I call the member for Dunkley.
Deputy Speaker, well, National Science Week is a chance to shine a light on the work of Australia's researchers and innovators, and I commend the member for Higgins for putting forward a motion that acknowledges that. As one of the members of this place with a science degree, with a double major in psychology from ANU, when at least 20 or so years ago psychology was studied as an experimental science, I'm proud to stand up at any opportunity to support anything which encourages imagination and inquiring minds and the promotion of facts and evidence. However, like my colleague, the member for Bruce, I must confess to being a little bit confused about the line in this motion about this government's investment in Australian science, because as far as I can see, this has been a government over the years which has spent too much of its time rejecting scientific evidence and fact, including at times the evidence about how to better support science, evidence and facts, and most importantly, innovation. Data from the Australian Innovation System Monitor shows that on this government's watch since 2013, business investment in research and development has fallen dramatically. And over the same period, federal government investment in research and development has also fallen in every state other than Western Australia, where there's been only a minor increase. The fall in business investment in research and development is linked to this government's cuts because the evidence shows that public investment in research and development crowds in rather than crowds out private investment. A review commissioned by this government, undertaken by Innovation and Science Australia and released in 2017, presented the evidence for increasing R&D by shifting from tax incentives to more direct support for collaborative research. Unfortunately, this Liberal government rejected that advice, not just that recommendation, but it would seem the whole report. And under this government, there have been well-publicised cuts to the CSIRO and to our universities. There's been political pressure on the CSIRO to be silent about climate change, and more recently, the manufacturing of a culture war over academic freedom, one might suspect, to disguise cuts to research. This government's failure to listen to and promote debate based on evidence, to promote and listen to experts, has profound consequences now and into the future. In coming weeks, we expect the release of the review into the Australian public sector by a panel led by CSIRO Chairman David Thodey. The Prime Minister in recent times has made it clear he doesn't want the public sector to worry about evidence, just to implement the Prime Minister's policies. However, the Thodey review is an independent review, and I'm sure the panellists understand that the public service is about more than doing what the government of the day says. The quality of our public debate requires a public sector that knows the facts, that relies on the evidence and uses that to provide advice, and public servants that are prepared to defend their role in the public debate. Acknowledging National Science Week is an opportunity to remember why, in that public debate, we must stand against the creeping tide of the rejection of science, research and innovation. We must support science so that we can prepare Australia's economy for a future that we know will be different, with shifts in how we work and how our economy works. We must support science so that we can create the future that we as Australians want, where good health, education and work outcomes are available to everyone, where emissions actually fall, and where we take our environmental pressures seriously, where our cities, our regions and our communities all enjoy a great quality of life. Science can guide us in all of these things that my community values. Mr Deputy Speaker, a more inclusive and sustainable Australia is possible, but it requires us to stand up for the role of science, evidence and facts, not to undermine it. That's the message of National Science Week. Last week I was principal for a day at Elizabeth Murdoch College in Langwarrin. One of the classes I visited was made up of students from the Performing Arts Collective, young men and women talented in music, acting and dancing who were taking a science class. These bright young students understand the importance of science, and our parliament and government should hear their voices. Amber Emmett loves science and math because she wants to help fight climate change. Amber's pleased to listen to the science about climate change and to give students the knowledge and equipment to fight it. Autumn Rihanna understands that science is constantly changing our world, and she cites the iPhone and how important it is to her as proof. Her call is for government to see the potential of women to contribute to science, research and innovation, and to genuinely support girls and women to have careers in STEM. Amber and Autumn's voices represent the students of Dunkley. They represent the voices of students across our country, and they speak for the future. This parliament, particularly this government, needs to listen.